The wedding extravaganza of Amazon founder and billionaire Jeff Bezos and former journalist Lauren Sanchez has kicked off in Venice. The lavish celebration has been shrouded in controversy after the couple was reportedly forced to change the venue due to a protest in the Italian city. Deutsche Welle correspondent Sina joins us now from Berlin. Marie, hi there. Tell us about these change of plans.
Yeah, this wedding has been a spectacle in two ways. On the one hand, there's this major celebrity wedding taking place with guests like Kim Kardashian, Katy Perry, Orlando Bloom. All five-star hotels in the city are fully booked. And on the other side, there are protesters trying to send a signal. Greenpeace raised a huge banner on a Venice square which read, "If you can rent Venice for your wedding, you can pay more tax." And a protest group called No Space for Bezos announced ahead of the wedding festivities that they want to fill the canal with inflatable crocodiles to prevent wedding guests from entering the city on their yachts. And ultimately, in a way, those protesters succeeded because the location for the wedding party tomorrow was changed from the center of the city to a location more on the outskirts, the Arsenal, which is a former shipyard. And the party was relocated specifically to prevent more protests taking place. So no inflatable crocodiles had to step into action, but protesters did send a floating mannequin of Jeff Bezos attached to a floating Amazon parcel into a Venice canal last night, and there's a big protest march planned tomorrow.
Ingenious ideas. Why do you think these protests have become so fierce?
Jeff Bezos and his lavish wedding embody a lot of the problems locals in Venice are struggling with. And a lot of the protesters have made sure to emphasize that they don't have a specific problem personally with Jeff Bezos, but that they are protesting against the system that he embodies. For one, they are an emblem of the type of excess that caused the climate crisis. Venice is a city that's disappearing. Rising sea levels mean that a large part of the city could be submerged in 100 years, and there is an irony to billionaires with giant carbon footprints all descending onto a city that's disappearing because of climate change for a big party. And so that's why we're seeing the presence of Greenpeace, for example. And in addition, many see this wedding as the latest example that the city is being reduced to a playground for the ultra-rich and for tourists. The historic city center has lost over half of its population in the last decades, and you have expensive hotels, expensive restaurants, shops, Airbnbs, pushing out the local community, outpricing the local communities because they can simply no longer afford it. And it's important to know that this is not a problem, this over-tourism that's just being faced in Venice, but in all tourism hotspots in Europe, really. So there is a lot of solidarity being felt around Europe with the people of Venice.
Yeah, absolutely. We're certainly seeing a lot of famous people getting onto their barges and boats. Venice isn't the only European city that struggles with over-tourism, though, is it?
No, a lot of cities have this problem in France, in Spain, and Portugal as well, because Europe is by far the most visited region in the world. Italy welcomed more international visitors last year than its entire population. And cheap flights and social media marketing are making this problem more intense. And over-tourism really is causing similar issues in a lot of these cities. Locals being pushed out because of high prices, international chains that are replacing local shops, and the fact that the infrastructure can't support so many visitors. So in Greece, for example, islands are struggling with huge amounts of tourists in the midst of a water scarcity. And some actions are slowly being taken against these problems. Barcelona, for example, wants to phase out all the short-term rental apartments in the city. That's 10,000 short-term rental apartments that are usually rented by tourists, and they're supposed to be given back to the locals for housing to prevent these cities from turning into tourism Disney worlds.
Marie, thanks for talking to us this evening.